Hello and welcome back to another video. This is Social Science Simplified, back with another political video. This will be another hypothetical election scenario. Once again, one that's very plausible. Ron DeSantis, the current Republican governor of Florida, versus Joe Biden, the current president. Joe Biden being the Democrat, Ron DeSantis being the Republican. I'm going to be focusing on the presidential candidates, not the vice presidential candidates. If you guys do want me to do one with the vice presidential candidates as well, leave a comment down below. Once again, always remember to like and subscribe. It means a lot. Thank you. So let's get right into it. Starting with the safe states, once again starting with the Democratic Party, then going to the Republican Party. So for Joe Biden, safe states would be California, Oregon, Washington. Sorry, my computer is acting a little bit strange right now. Illinois would also be a safe state. New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, Maine's 1st Congressional District, Hawaii, and lastly, Colorado would be a safe Democratic state by 2024. In my opinion, it is trending very much towards the Democratic Party, more so than other states such as New Mexico, Nevada, New Hampshire. And I believe that by 2024, if Joe Biden runs for re-election, Colorado would be a safe Democratic state. Now to move on to the safe Republican states. Idaho, Wyoming, South and North Dakota, Nebraska's at-large electoral votes, Nebraska's 3rd Congressional District, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and now I'm actually going to talk about some electoral votes that were likely Republican in my 2024 electoral map prediction, but will be safe Republican because Ron DeSantis is somewhat more moderate than Donald Trump. And those states and electoral votes are going to be Nebraska's 1st Congressional District, Missouri, Kansas, Indiana, Montana, Utah, and South Carolina. Those states will all be safe Republican, meaning with just safe electoral votes, Joe Biden is winning 191 to 122. Now to move on to the likely electoral votes, starting with the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, New Mexico, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine's at-large electoral votes, and that is it for likely electoral votes for the Democratic Party. Oh, in Minnesota. And now on to likely electoral votes for the Republican Party. Alaska, that's the one state that was likely GOP, and it remains likely GOP. I don't see Ron DeSantis making that a safe Republican state. And now on to the other likely Republican state, and this might be a shocker for a lot of people, but Florida. Ron DeSantis is the current governor of Florida. It is very unlikely that Joe Biden would be able to flip this state against its current governor. Now, if Joe Biden won Florida in 2020, it might not be likely Republican, but if Florida voted for Donald Trump by 3 points, I'd imagine that it would vote for Ron DeSantis by an even larger margin, making it extremely difficult for Joe Biden to flip. So that is why Florida will be a likely Republican state if Joe Biden and Ron DeSantis were to run against each other in 2024. Now to move on to the lean states, starting with Joe Biden in the Democratic Party, Nevada, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Those 3 states are somewhat more moderate. However, I do not believe that Ron DeSantis would be able to appeal to working class voters in the Rust Belt states of Michigan and Pennsylvania, as well as Donald Trump did. And I believe that Nevada would just remain as a lean state for the Democratic Party, voting for Joe Biden again in 2024. Now onto the Republican lean states, Ohio did vote for Trump twice in 2016 and 2020, and I believe that Ron DeSantis could appeal to some of the more moderate voters there as well, giving him a lean margin of victory over Joe Biden. And the same is true for North Carolina, even though that state has been trending more to the left recently. I believe that Ron DeSantis could carry that state by a lean margin because of his appeal to more moderate voters that Donald Trump could not appeal to. And then lastly, Texas. I believe that Texas would be in the GOP column still because Ron DeSantis is somewhat more moderate than Donald Trump, albeit he is not a defined moderate. He is definitely a Republican, just like Joe Biden is definitely a Democrat, whereas both of them are more moderate than the extreme viewpoints of their respective parties. And that is why Texas would still be a lean state for the GOP. And now onto the tilt states. Wisconsin would be a tilt state for Joe Biden just because the Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania generally all vote together, although Wisconsin in 2020 did vote to the right of Michigan and Pennsylvania. That is why I believe it would only be a tilt margin of victory for Biden if he did win it all. These tilt states in this scenario are going to be true toss-ups, and with winning Wisconsin, Joe Biden would be reelected as president. And I believe what is going to give Biden the edge in the tilt states is the incumbency factor. If this was an open race, say Trump had won in 2020 and Biden and DeSantis were running against each other in 2024, this would be really competitive and the tilt states would be true toss-ups. However, I believe the tilt Democratic states would stay in the Democratic column just because of the factors that the advantages that the incumbency brings. So, moving on, I believe Arizona would also be a tilt Democratic state. 2 Democratic senators from Arizona, as well as strong feelings against the GOP. If you look at that state, Donald Trump carried it by 5 points in 2016, and Joe Biden wins the state in 2020. So obviously that state has not appreciated Donald Trump or other politicians who associate with him. And since Ron DeSantis is a strong, vocal Trump supporter, I believe that many voters in Arizona would vote for Joe Biden over Ron DeSantis. And Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, I believe this one is a true toss-up, but I believe Biden would hold on to that district, mainly because he carried it in 2020 and the incumbency does have advantages. That's the only reason why. And then lastly, Maine's 2nd congressional district, I believe, would be a tilt electoral vote for Joe Biden, and that is because Ron DeSantis cannot appeal to rural voters in the same way that Donald Trump can. Because Ron DeSantis is a governor, obviously not a national politician, and obviously Donald Trump, before he was elected president, was not a politician at all. But I do not believe that Ron DeSantis has the same charisma or appeal to rural voters that Donald Trump did, which is why I am giving Nebraska's 2nd congressional district to Joe Biden over over Ron DeSantis in 2024. And now lastly onto the tilt Republican states. Iowa, Joe Biden is somewhat approved of in Iowa, and I believe Iowa would definitely become closer in 2024. While I believe it would remain in the GOP column, I do believe it would be a very close race in Iowa. And once again, these tilt states are all toss-ups. And then lastly, Georgia, I believe, with its suburban voters returning to the GOP fold, because Ron DeSantis is once again a little bit more moderate than Donald Trump, I believe that Georgia would become a tilt Republican state rather than a tilt Democratic state. And with that, Joe Biden would defeat Ron DeSantis 288 electoral votes to 250 electoral votes. Joe Biden would flip Maine's 2nd congressional district, and Ron DeSantis would flip the state of Georgia. And just to give you guys kind of a viewpoint of what this would actually look like, taking the margins away, the actual map. That's there for the Republicans. And now for the Democrats. This is what the actual 2024 electoral map would look like if Joe Biden were to run against Ron DeSantis. Joe Biden would defeat Ron DeSantis and be re-elected president with 288 electoral votes, and Ron DeSantis would obviously lose the election with 250 electoral votes. Once again, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.